Adisebaba.
Once upon a time, in a land far away, lived a very sad witch. The reason for her sadness was that she would never have a child. However, if she had a child, she would be able to pass on her deep secrets and powers to her. And so she made up her mind. She would take away the first baby girl that was ever to be born and raise her as if it were hers, away from everything.
The magic of evil shall forever take over the world!
Not so far from where the witch lived a couple who made a living by farming. One day, the man was surprised with the amazing news. The lady gave the good news to her husband.
We're having a baby.
Unfortunately, their happiness didn't last very long. The young lady got very ill. As the days went on by, she began losing weight. If she didn't get well soon, she was going to lose the baby. Her husband tried every medicine and beneficial herb that there was, but couldn't cure her. The last doctor he went to told him that there was only one way that his wife would get well.
There is an evil-hearted witch. She's the only one that has this healing herb. She's your only help.
The man gathered all his courage and went over to the witch's castle and knocked on the door.
Fearlessly knocking on my door? You must have an important matter.
My wife is ill, and she's getting worse. I've heard you have the best remedy for such situations as ours.
Really? And why should I help you?
I beg you, please don't reject me. My wife is pregnant. If I don't heal her, I will lose them both.
After hearing his situation, the witch changed her mind and decided to help him.
If you say so, I'll help you.
The witch gave him the healing herb.
Give a piece of this herb's leaves to your wife every day. You will see that she will heal.
The young man was very happy now. He ran back home. His wife ate a piece of the leaves every day. She began to heal and gain the weight she had lost. But the herb the witch had given finished a few days later. The young lady's illness began all over again. This time round, it got worse in a shorter period of time. Having no choice, her husband knocked on the witch's door once again. The witch knew that he would be back. She took out a bag of seeds.
These are the seeds that healed your wife. You should get these seeds and plant them in your garden, and you will be able to save your wife and child. But I have one condition. If you have a baby girl, you will give her to me.
I can never accept such an offer.
Suit yourself.
The witch shut the door on his face. Sadly, the man returned back home. He wasn't able to tell anything to his wife. As the days went on by, the young lady got worse. The baby was now in danger. The young man had trouble sleeping now. If he didn't accept the witch's offer, he was going to lose both his wife and his baby. But if he accepted the offer and ended up having a baby boy, both his wife and son would survive. And so he made up his mind and headed to the witch's castle. He accepted her offer and went back home with the bag of seeds. He planted the seeds the witch had given him. The seeds grew in a very short period of time. The young man helped his wife eat the leaves he had grown. As the days went on by, his wife got better. She had fully recovered and gave birth to a healthy baby. But the young man was facing his fear now.
It's a beautiful baby girl.
The same day, they were having a big celebration at the king's palace. The queen had given birth to a baby boy. The king was very happy, because now after him, he had a prince that could lead the country. The people loved their good-hearted king and queen very much. No one would ever know that one day in the future, the lives of these two babies would meet. The husband and wife's happiness did not last very long. Right on that same day, the witch came and asked for the baby. The couple handed over their baby in tears and said their farewells.
Oh, my baby. Oh, baby. She's mine now, but don't worry, I will take good care of her. And I will name her Rapunzel.
The witch took the baby to the tower. This tower was hidden in the deep forest. The witch went up the stairs to the very top of the tower. They arrived at the room on the top floor. The witch placed the baby in her crib.
Rapunzel, my beautiful baby.
Thinking that the witch was her mother, Rapunzel continued living her life in this tower. During daytime, she would go down the tower, play in the front yard, and at night time, she would go back up to her little room at the top of the tower. The witch never cut Rapunzel's golden hair. She brushed Rapunzel's hair every single day. The little girl liked this very much. Years had passed, Rapunzel had grown, and now she was a teenager. One day, the witch approached the tower and called out to Rapunzel.
Rapunzel, my daughter, let your golden hair down.
Rapunzel let her golden hair down. Her hair could reach the ground now.
Nice.
The witch went up the tower stairs, then stood at the top of the staircase and began to whisper magical words. Suddenly, the stairs began to crumble.
No spell in the world will ever be able to bring these stairs back again.
Watching all that was happening with wonder, Rapunzel knew that she could never get out of the tower again. The witch was using Rapunzel's hair to go down the tower every day, and in the evening she would arrive at the bottom of the tower and call out to her.
Rapunzel! Rapunzel! Let your golden hair down, it's your mother!
After hearing her voice, Rapunzel would let her golden hair down. And so the witch would hold onto her hair and climb up.
Mother, why won't you allow me to leave the tower? Why do you keep me up here?
Oh, my darling girl, I love you so much. I'm just trying to protect you from the evil of the world.
Rapunzel spent all her days singing and talking to the birds that would visit her. Back at the king's palace, the prince that was born on the same day as Rapunzel had grown up and become a young man. Now the old and sick king wished that his son, the prince, would carry his father's throne, marry a princess and give him a grandchild. Although many princesses came by the palace, the prince couldn't see any of them as his beloved wife. In the end, the prince went on a long journey, hoping to find his real love. When he arrived at the corner of the forest where the tower was hidden, he asked the men,
I had never come to this forest before. Let's go through the forest. Maybe we'll find a shortcut.
My prince, this forest is magical. It's said that whoever enters never gets out.
You said it yourself. This might just be a rumor. Let's go and see for ourselves.
The prince and his men entered the forest. The prince was rather sure of himself, but his men not so much. A while later, the tower where Rapunzel lived appeared. Later, they heard the singing voice of Rapunzel.
La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la.
What a beautiful voice!
After making his way closer to the tower, the prince noticed Rapunzel singing. For a while, he watched her in admiration. Right at that moment, the witch appeared and yelled out to Rapunzel.
Rapunzel! Rapunzel, let your golden hair down.
Hearing the witch calling, Rapunzel let her beautiful golden hair down. And so the witch held on her hair and climbed up.
So, her name is Rapunzel.
The prince decided to stick around the tower for some time and watched Rapunzel. The witch climbed down Rapunzel's hair every morning, and at night climbed back up again.
Rapunzel! Rapunzel, let your golden hair down.
In the end, the prince gathered all his courage, and on a day where the witch wasn't present, he approached the tower and called out.
Rapunzel! Rapunzel!
This was the first time Rapunzel was hearing another voice other than her mother. At first, she was a little hesitant, but later she was very curious as to who this might be. And so she looked down from the window. She saw a young man looking at her from below.
Who are you? And how do you know my name?
I am the prince of this kingdom. I heard your amazing voice and I wanted to meet you.
I'm not allowed to speak to strangers. Please go away.
I mean no harm, I promise. Please come down so that we can talk.
I can't. There is no staircase.
Right that instant, Rapunzel saw her mother coming.
Hurry! You must get away from here. Mother shouldn't see you.
The prince quickly hid behind the trees. Once the witch reached the tower, she called out. And once Rapunzel let her golden hair down, she climbed up. The prince began visiting every day. They were now friends with Rapunzel, and she now knew that the prince meant no harm, and so she let her golden hair down. The prince grabbed onto her beautiful blonde hair and climbed up. Rapunzel was extremely excited. It was someone she had never seen before, standing right there in front of her.
Why is your mother holding you in prison in this tower?
Mother tells me that the world is filled with evil. She's trying to protect me.
But this is ridiculous. Why would a mother lock her daughter away in such place? Yes, it's true that there's evil out there, but there's also beauty amongst it all.
Rapunzel was curious to see if what the prince was saying was true, and all she ever wanted to do was see and get to know the world outside. At last, they made up their minds and wanted to run away together. That night, when the witch returned to the tower, she saw that Rapunzel had let her golden hair down.
Rapunzel saw me coming. She has let her hair down.
After climbing up the tower, what does she see? Rapunzel's hair cut and tied up on a piece of metal, but Rapunzel was nowhere to be seen. At that moment, she realized that Rapunzel had ran away. Rapunzel cut her own hair and hung it on a piece of metal. With the help of her hair, she and the prince both climbed down the tower.
Rapunzel! Rapunzel! How dare you betray me!
Meanwhile, the prince and Rapunzel left the magic forest behind. The story about the forest being magical was something the witch had made up, because she didn't want anyone finding Rapunzel. Rapunzel and the prince finally arrived at the palace. Taking Rapunzel with him, the prince approached the king and queen. And what does he see? The king standing in front of him, healthy as ever.
Father, you look very healthy. How did this happen?
A healing herb cured your father, my son. Let me see. What was it called? Oh, yes. Rapunzel.
Rapunzel?
The prince began telling all that had happened to him. Then the king told him that an old couple had given him the herb. Then he began telling the story about the evil-hearted witch and the harm she had caused to the old couple by taking their baby on the day she was born. The prince and Rapunzel made their way to the old couple's house. As soon as the lady saw this golden-haired girl, she knew it was her baby Rapunzel that was taken from her.
My daughter! My daughter! Oh, finally, I have found you!
Listening to the true story from the beginning, Rapunzel now had reunited with her parents. Soon after, the prince and Rapunzel were married, and they lived happily ever after. So, what happened to the witch that was stuck in the tower? The king captured the witch and locked her up in the tower, and put guards at the bottom of the tower so that she couldn't escape. Along with the witch, her witchcraft and all her deepest secrets disappeared. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful castle in a land far, far away. In this magnificent castle, there lived the most beautiful queen. The queen only had one wish to be happy, and that was to have a beautiful baby girl. A cold winter day, when the queen was sewing next to the window, she suddenly poked herself with a needle. She immediately wiped the blood off with a piece of cotton, and right at that moment, she made a wish. I wish to have a baby girl whose skin is as white as snow, whose eyes are brighter than the shiniest jewel, and has cherry red lips, and a heart full of joy and happiness. And one day, the wish of the good-hearted queen came true. She had a beautiful baby girl. They named this beautiful girl Snow White. The years went by quickly, but their happiness did not last long. The good-hearted queen had become ill and soon after passed away. After a while, the king aged and had become extremely weak, so he remarried another woman. The new queen was beautiful, all right, but she had an evil heart. She was an arrogant and jealous woman. Every day, the queen would look into her magic mirror and ask this question. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? And the magic mirror would answer back.
No one, Your Highness. You are the most beautiful one.
And the queen would be very happy with the answer. With the arrival of the evil queen, everything in the castle started to change. Because of her evil doings, the kingdom faced many, many troubles. So to fix the troubles, the king had to go away from the castle. The evil queen was very happy because now that the queen had gone away, she could do as she pleased. The years went by fast, and Snow White grew up to be a beautiful young girl. In a place not too far away, a prince suddenly saw the reflection of Snow White on the river from which he was drinking some water. He immediately looked around, but could not see anyone else other than the birds upon his head. One day, the queen was in front of her magic mirror. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? The mirror answered.
Well, sorry, but not you, my dear queen. Snow White is the most beautiful one.
The queen was furious when she heard the magic mirror's answer. She immediately called in her favorite hunter and gave a horrible order. You will take Snow White into the woods and bring me her heart. The soldiers took Snow White next to the queen. Welcome, Snow White. Thought that you might have been bored in the castle. Go get some fresh air in the woods. Don't worry, my most trusted hunter will keep you safe. The hunter took Snow White deep into the woods. He had to do what he was told by the Queen. But seeing Snow White's pure heart, full of goodness, the hunter could not do her any harm. He warned her not to go back to the castle ever again. And at sunset, he left her in the woods and head back to the castle. Snow White was very afraid in the dark woods all alone. She sat under a tree and started crying. Until, at last, she fell asleep. In the morning, Snow White woke up with birds chirping, and many tiny animal friends surrounded her. Because these animals knew who she was and loved their princess, they showed the way to Snow White. They brought her to their home, which was cute and as tiny as them. A little hesitant, Snow White opened the door. Everything inside the house was very small and extremely messy. Snow White could not figure out whom this house belonged to, but she did not have anywhere else to go, so she decided to tidy up. After she cleaned up the house and made it nice and spotless, Snow White cooked with the small kitchen utensils and had something to eat. In this small house, just like everything else, the beds were also tiny. But Snow White was so tired, she almost fell asleep right where she was. She thought that no harm would come to her in this place and fell asleep on a couple of beds she put together. In the evening, the 7 dwarfs, who were the lovely owners of this beautiful home, had arrived from working in the mine. And as they entered, they were really surprised.
The house was clean, plus it smelled of delicious food. Clumsy wanted some soup, but because of his clumsiness, he spilled it on the floor. Ace was trying to figure out what was going on.
There is something fishy about all this. Who did all this work? If I can get sleep, I'm sure I can find all the answers,
said Lazy, yawning. The 7 dwarfs quietly all went upstairs. When they entered the bedroom, they couldn't believe their eyes. There was the most beautiful girl they had ever seen lying on their tiny beds. Hearing the sounds, Snow White jumped up frightened from her sleep as she saw the 14 eyes of the 7 dwarfs staring at her. Finally, with some hesitation, she said,
My name is Snow White. I'm really sorry if I have offended you. I meant no harm.
Well, we are sure of that. Otherwise, why would you clean up and cook for us?
Answered Ace, and introduced them.
We are the 7 dwarfs. This is Jolly,
Angry,
Clumsy, Slumpy, Red, and me, Ace, and there he is, Lazy. Shh.
Snow White was so happy that now she had 7 more fun friends. Snow White told them all about what had happened. The 7 dwarfs were really sad to hear what had happened. They asked her to stay with them. Agreeing to stay with them, Snow White always helped them out. They all started to have happy and peaceful times together, but their happiness wasn't going to last long. One day, the Queen asked the same question to her magic mirror. Mirror, mirror
on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all?
The mirror's answer was the same.
Well, I'm sorry, but not you, my dear queen. Snow White is the fairest of them all.
But the queen thought that she was already dead. She did not know that the heart the hunter had brought her actually belonged to a deer, and decided to finish the job herself, and for good this time. It was another joyous morning in the 7 dwarfs' house. Snow White was sending the dwarfs to work with a kiss on their cheek. Ace repeated his warnings as always.
Do not forget our rule. If any stranger comes knocking on the door when we are not home, do not answer it.
Okie dokie, Ace.
But you guys, don't be late, okay? While Snow White was preparing dinner, there was a knock on the door. She did not expect the dwarfs to come back home at this hour.
Who is it? Ace? Is it you guys?
From outside, an old woman spoke.
I mean no harm, my little girl. Open up, please.
Looking through the peephole, Snow White saw the poor old woman outside and thought she could mean no harm to her, so she opened the door.
Oh, my dear beautiful girl. I am a poor old woman passing by. If you could give me a bowl of soup, I will be forever grateful.
Snow White took the old lady in and offered her a bowl of hot soup.
Thank you, my dear. I have no money, but I have the most delicious and brightest red apple for you. Even one bite will taste like heaven.
Snow White curiously took a bite from the apple. And as soon as she did, she fainted and fell down on the floor. The old lady was no other than the disguised evil queen. And the apple was far from heaven, but full of poison. Even one bite was enough to put Snow White to a sleep, from which she could never be able to wake up. When the 7 dwarfs returned home, they found Snow White lying on the floor. Ace found the apple with the bite mark.
The apple she ate must be poisonous. This must be the queen's doing.
Snow White was so beautiful even asleep. The dwarfs put her in a glass box made of the most precious gems, and they put her on a hilltop where all her friends in the woods could see. One day, the prince came to the woods where Snow White was sleeping. Snow White's friends showed him the way and brought him next to the glass box where she was sleeping. The prince could not believe his eyes. The beautiful princess he once saw as a reflection on the river and kept seeing in his dreams was lying right in front of him. He lifted up the cover of the box and kissed Snow White. Right at that moment, Snow White's and the prince's dreams came true. Their love overcame the curse, and Snow White opened her eyes. At that same time, finding out about all that had happened to his daughter, the king broke the magic mirror and sent the queen as far away from the castle as possible. Snow White finally returned to her castle and reunited with her father. Snow White and the prince had a magical wedding. The king, Snow White, the prince, and the 7 dwarfs, they all lived happily ever after.